Hey everybody, this is my rant on WWE NXT. In my opinion, WWE NXT is the worst and most overrated wrestling show today. Today, everyone on the internet praises this show and act like it's the next best thing since sliced bread, but it isn't. This is the most blandest, the most boring, the most dull and uninteresting wrestling show I've ever seen. I've ever seen. Um, um, First of all, the first problem I have with this show is that it's unoriginal. It's unoriginal. This show is a ripoff of Ring of Honor. It's a ripoff of Ring of Honor, WCW Saturday Night Wrestling, WCW Saturday Night Wrestling, and TNA Impact. I'm gonna explain all three of these right now. First off, it's a ripoff of Ring of Honor. It has it's a it's a developmental territory, but it's also like a modern day territory system. Only it's associated with WWE. It's produced by WWE. It's produced by WWE, which is the main reasons why these sucks. These being ripoffs of this show being a ripoff of TNA, Ring of Honor, and WCW Saturday Night wouldn't be a bad thing if it was made by someone else other than WWE. But since it's WWE producing this, that makes this show that makes this show garbage, dull, and unoriginal. Next, it rips off WCW Saturday Night because it features up and coming wrestlers, up and coming developmental wrestlers. In WCW, they have the power plant. Wrestlers who train at the power plant, they usually appear on WCW Nitro and Thunder as either jobbers or security or in other various other types of roles. But on WCW Saturday Night wrestling, they actually wrestled and were involved in storylines. That's how NXT is. That's how NXT is. These guys may appear on Raw or SmackDown in different roles or as jobbers, kind of like Derek Bateman did 3 years ago. But their main stars here on this NXT show. Also, just like WCW Saturday Night Live Wrestling, stars on the roster who are not involved in major angles, or some that are involved in major angles who are not major stars on Raw will be making appearances in major storylines here on NXT. So like I said, a ripoff of WCW Saturday Night Wrestling. And finally, it's a ripoff of TNA. It's in Florida. Full Sail is at a place called Full Sail University in Florida. It has a setup to one of the Impact zones. Also has a setup to one of the old Thunder WCW, the last WCW Thunder set, and so yeah, that's the first problem I have is it's unoriginal. The second problem I have is if I want to watch a modern day independent territory, I will watch the independence and the I will watch the independence and wrestling. Underground wrestling. I do not want to watch a WWE produced indie show. I watch WWE for the alternate to that, to see a mainstream, big budgeted wrestling company. That's why people tune in to companies like WWE and the WCW of old and the WWE All Stars, one of the very first promotions to come into existence. The big budget arenas. If I want a smaller budget arenas or underground arenas, I watch TNA and the Indies. I watch TNA and I watch TNA and the freaking Indies. So that's the next problem. That's the next problem. Next problem I have. That's also a problem I have with WWE, poor production values. But going back to NXT, the next problem I have is um waste of a show. Instead of having this instead of having this garbage show, this show should have stayed FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling. This show should have stayed a developmental territory. Pick one of the wrestlers, and bring them to the main roster. They should never have made this a show. Instead, take the new the design, the theme music. I loved when they had the only thing I did like was when they had the Kambada. I can't forget the name of that band, but the Welcome Home theme song, the Welcome Home theme song. Why couldn't they give Raw or SmackDown especially, that type of makeover? SmackDown is like the best show you have, but it's bland and not worth watching, and Raw is just a big budget, bland Hollywood show with poor production values. That's my opinion. So that's the next problem I have with NXT is misutilization of talent. You have Rhino return there. Rhino is still good enough to wrestle in the roster. I find it offensive that this guy, who's actually been in WWE before, made his name in ECW, went to TNA and became an even bigger star there than he ever was in ECW or WWE, and you bury him, you bury him, you don't bury him, but you have him wrestle on this not even B or C show, this D-rated, overrated, wannabe indie garbage show, making trained wrestlers who spent time on the independent circuit and in TNA owning their craft, learning the ropes and learning all this stuff, only for them to go back, pretty much go back to start over from scratch and go back to wrestling school instead of working house shows and being immediately brought to the main roster. Yeah, I'm so then when wrestlers like Xavier Woods, Xavier Woods, um, Adam Rose leave NXT, they when they go to WWE, they get stripped. When they go to the main roster, they get stripped of their gimmicks and are given horrible gimmicks like the New Day, and I actually like Adam Rose's gimmick, but he had another gimmick, Leo Kruger, first, and they stripped him of that and gave him this bizarre, weird gay party animal type gimmick. So yeah. So yeah, NXT. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, and the final reason, NXT. The last reason NXT sucks. Apart from the wrestlers from other apart from wrestlers like Kenta, Finn Balor, who was Prince Devitt in Japan, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Rhino. It's just a show full of wrestlers, full of rookie wrestlers you don't care about. You don't you don't care about. This is the worst show ever. At least on Raw and SmackDown. I hate both of those shows too, but at least they have characters. Wrestlers I care about. I don't really care about any wrestlers here. The indie wrestlers you do know, like Kenta, like Joe, like Finn Balor or Prince Devitt. The wrestlers you do know, you don't care for them. You don't care for them in this promotion because in this environment, in WWE environment, they're watered down. their wrestling their wrestling isn't as good as what you saw in the Indies, Japan, or TNA, and yeah. So this was my several reasons. WWE NXT sucks. All right. Dugout.